From the winerychannel.tv, this is The Source. Here's Manfred Krankl of Sine Qua Non.
Here we are in our home ranch. That's what we call our home ranch anyways. It's where we live. And this is a vineyard here behind me that we casually called Cumulus. It sort of represents the accumulation of all the good things that are happening here. Our wine, our home, our family, everyone's together. We only planted that in 2004. So this is, and even that was fairly late. And it's a 6-acre piece. And the bigger piece that you're looking at right here is about roughly half and half Syrah and Grenache. And then the smaller piece over there is about a 1-acre plot of Roussanne. We got a tiny bit of fruit from it last year, but it really was only third leaf, and not always particularly usable fruit. So for all practical purposes, this is going to be our first real harvest of this vineyard, which is exciting. And should be interesting, and obviously we hope for the best. We're going to plant a little more next year. We have a hillside that you can't quite see here that faces down toward the Santa Ana Road, which is the road that runs below here, and we're going to plant a little more Syrah, an acre of Petite Syrah, and an acre of Mourvèdre, and also the plan is to put a little bit of a Portuguese variety called Touriga Nacional in here, because it seems to be appropriate for the climate and the soil. Well, this is my wife Elaine, and partner, of course, and my boss as well.
Your boss.
And so here we are at the vineyard Cumulus in the Syrah section. What's important to note, I think, is that what we try to accomplish when we train the fruit is that we have these are called shoots, that they are very upright, and that the leaves are pulled somewhat, so we get what's called a speckled sunlight effect, and you can see that a little bit in the shade on the ground, or filtered sunlight it's sometimes called, so that the leaves that you see and that are exposed to the sun are actually doing work, and the work they're doing is called photosynthesis, and that's essentially what ripens the fruit. This vineyard is it's only 4 years old, or fourth leaf I should say, 3.5 years old essentially. You count first leaf the year that you planted, and then you move forward, and so we're in fourth leaf right now. Very young vines, obviously. Really first fruit this year off of this vineyard. Should be interesting. What we're trying to accomplish, of course, we have very tight spacing here, which is 5.5-foot rows by 2 feet between the vines. So we have almost 4,000 vines to the acre, which is fairly high by California standard. And so we can have relatively, everything gets kind of miniaturized. All the plants get a little bit smaller, less fruit on each plant, and so everything intensifies in some form because it is all a little smaller berries, smaller clusters, smaller vines, smaller canopies, and so on. Well, so this is sort of what we're looking for, relatively small clusters and small berries, although they're still going to expand, obviously, as they grow and get color. But clusters that are kind of loose. There's a lot of air circulation around all of the berries. No real shoulders or what's called wings. And this will probably be about, I would say, probably about an 80 to 100 gram cluster at harvest time, and that's about right. So that will make about probably 1 pound of fruit per vine. That's all we're going to get, and that's the way we like it.
Thanks for joining us here on The Source.